What is up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into something so insane, so unbelievable, you're not going to believe it's real. Forget everything you know about borders being straight lines on a map guarded by serious looking people. We're about to show you a world where borders get absolutely ridiculous. I'm talking about lines that zigzag through houses, slice cafes in half, and even run straight through people's beds. This isn't a movie, this is real life, and it's happening right now in towns all over the planet. We spent thousands of hours researching these places, and what we found will literally blow your mind. Imagine waking up in one country, walking to your kitchen for breakfast, and literally crossing into another country just to get the milk. I'm not even joking. We found a house that belongs to two different nations at the exact same time. The living room is in Belgium, but the kitchen? That's in the Netherlands. This is just the beginning of the absolute madness we're about to explore. We're going to take you on a journey to the most bizarre, the most hilarious, and the most mind-bending border situations that actually exist. Get ready to have your entire concept of countries and borders completely shattered. This video is packed with stories that sound like they were made up for a comedy sketch, but I promise you, every single one is 100% real. We're going to meet the people who live in these towns, who have to deal with two sets of laws, two currencies, and sometimes two languages just to go to the grocery store. It's a lifestyle so unique, it's almost impossible to comprehend. So buckle up, because this is going to be one of the craziest virtual trips you've ever taken. It's an adventure into the quirky, the weird, and the wonderful world of bizarre borders. And before we jump into this craziness, if you love exploring the most unbelievable places on earth, do me a huge favor and smash that like button, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe to Earth for Life and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our insane adventures. Every single subscription helps us go further and find even more incredible stories to share with you all. We seriously couldn't do this without you guys, so thank you for all the support. Alright, let's get into it. In the twin towns of Belle-Nassau and Belle-Hertog, the border is the town. Right in the middle of this chaos is a house split between two countries. The border runs directly through its front door. One side has a Belgian address, the other Dutch. They have two doorbells and likely get mail from two postal services. The border line continues inside, so walking from the living room to the kitchen is an international trip. The family used their back door to get around Dutch regulations. Taxes were determined by the location of the front door. Delivery drivers were often confused by the two addresses and doorbells. The house became a neutral meeting ground where parties spanned two countries. It's a testament to human resilience, making a home in two places at once. Now let's take the idea of a divided house and expand it to an entire town. Welcome to Darby Line, Vermont in the United States and Stansted, Quebec in Canada. These aren't just neighboring towns, they are essentially one community accidentally sliced in two by the US-Canada border. The border here doesn't follow a river or a mountain range. In many places it's just a line on the street. You can literally be standing in the United States, take 5 steps and be in Canada. There are no walls, no giant fences, just a subtle shift in the pavement. Imagine this, your house is in the United States, but your best friend lives directly across the street in Canada. To visit them, you technically have to cross an international border. For the locals, this is just a normal part of life. They've grown up with this reality and they've found incredible ways to live with it. Kids will play catch across the border, tossing a ball from one country to another. It's a sight that would be unthinkable almost anywhere else in the world. But here, it's just another Tuesday afternoon. This unique situation creates some of the most inspiring stories of cross-border friendship and community. People on both sides share a library, a fire department, and even a water supply. The Haskell Free Library and Opera House was deliberately built to straddle the border, with the entrance in the US and the stage in Canada. It was designed as a symbol of unity, a place where the community could come together regardless of nationality. You can walk into the library in Vermont and check out a book that's sitting on a shelf in Quebec. The residents here don't see themselves as just Americans or Canadians. They see themselves as members of one single community. They attend the same events, shop at the same stores depending on which country has better prices that day, and look out for each other. When a fire breaks out, it doesn't matter which side of the border it's on. The fire department with firefighters from both nations responds. It's a powerful example of how human connection can be stronger than any political line drawn on a map. Let's dive deeper into one of the most incredible buildings on earth, the Haskell Free Library and Opera House. This place is not just near the border runs directly through it. I'm talking about a thick black line painted across the floor of the reading room. It was intentionally constructed this way back in 1904 by a local family to serve both the American and Canadian communities, a gift to promote culture and friendship. It stands as a powerful monument to the idea that knowledge and art should have no borders. Here's how insane this is. The main entrance and most of the library's books are in the United States. However, the Opera House stage and most of the seats are in Canada. This means you can watch a performance where the actors are in Canada but the audience is sitting in the United States. It's the only opera house in the world where this happens. The international borderline is respected with an almost religious reverence inside the building, yet its entire purpose is to defy the very idea of that line as a barrier. This creates some truly unique and funny situations. The library has been nicknamed the only library in the US with no books and the only opera house in the US with no stage. Technically, both are true. Patrons can walk in from the American side without a passport, browse the shelves and sit at a reading table in Canada. As long as they exit through the same American door they came in, it's all perfectly legal. It's a special zone of trust, a loophole created for the sake of community. The library stands as a testament to a time when crossing this border was much simpler. While security has tightened over the years, the spirit of the Haskell Free Library endures. It's a place where two nations meet peacefully every single day. It's more than just a building. It's the heart of this shared community. It proves that you can build bridges, sometimes literally, right through the walls that are supposed to keep people apart. This place isn't just a quirky border town attraction. It's an inspiring symbol for the entire world. Living in a town split by an international border also leads to some hilarious legal predicaments. In Derby Line and Stansted, the law is literally different depending on which side of the street you're on. For years, the drinking age in Quebec was 18, while in Vermont it was 21. Teenagers from Vermont would simply walk across the street to legally buy alcohol in Canada. It was a rite of passage for generations of kids in Derby Line. The local police on both sides were well aware of it, but as long as they drank it in Canada, there was nothing the American police could do. This legal disparity created a strange cat-and-mouse game. The moment someone carrying alcohol stepped back over the invisible line into the United States, they were breaking the law. So you'd have groups of friends partying on the Canadian side of a park, just a few feet away from their American friends who couldn't join them. It was a nightly occurrence that highlighted the absurdity of having two different legal systems operating on the same street. It's a perfect example of how a line on a map can create bizarre social rules. The differences in laws go beyond just the drinking age. Everything from traffic regulations to sales tax changes the moment you cross the street. You could be pulled over for making a right turn on a red light, which is legal in most of the US but not in Quebec. People have to constantly be aware of which country's rules they are currently following. Locals have developed an almost sixth sense for it, instinctively knowing which laws apply where. It's a mental map they carry with them every single day. This has led to some incredible stories. There are tales of smugglers using the opera house to move goods across the border, or people accidentally getting arrested because they forgot which country they were in when they parked their car. While these stories are often funny, they point to the very real challenges of living in a place where a single step can put you on the wrong side of the law. The residents of Derby Line and Stansted aren't just neighbors. They are expert navigators of a complex legal and cultural landscape. Despite all the legal quirks and logistical headaches, the most powerful story of these border towns is one of unity. The people of Derby Line and Stansted don't let a line on the ground define their relationships. They have created a single, cohesive community that transcends nationality. They share family ties, friendships, and a deep sense of shared identity that is stronger than any passport. They are a living, breathing example of international cooperation in its purest form. Every year the community comes together for events that celebrate their unique bond. They hold joint festivals, parades, and celebrations right on the border. For these events, the border almost ceases to exist. Families gather at the borderline, passing food and gifts back and forth between countries. It's a beautiful sight that demonstrates their commitment to each other. They have proven that you don't need to erase borders to be united. You just need to build a community that is bigger than them. This spirit of unity is truly inspiring. In a world that often feels more and more divided, these towns are a beacon of hope. They show us that it's possible for people from different nations with different laws and customs to live together in harmony. They've turned a potential source of conflict into a source of strength and identity. Their story isn't just a quirky travelogue. It's a profound lesson in what it means to be a good neighbor. It's about focusing on what connects us rather than what separates. We have seen houses split by borders, but what about a border running through a bedroom? In Barle, a house has the border slicing through the bedroom. One side of the bed is in Belgium, the other in the Netherlands. Imagine a bathroom with a toilet in the USA and the sink in Canada. Or a ping pong table on the border, where every volley is an international exchange. Then there's the supermarket with aisles split between Spain and France. Shoppers cross the border for the best deals, navigating different tax laws. You might even have to check out twice. It's hilarious, strange, and a perfect example of life on the line. So you think your neighborhood has some weird rules? Try living on a street where one side is in a different country from the other. This is the reality for the residents of Canusa Street, which divides the USA and Canada. The name itself is a mashup of Canada and USA. On this street, the houses on the north side are in Stansted, Quebec, while the houses on the south side are in Derby Line, Vermont. The international border is literally the yellow line painted down the middle of the road. It's one of the most unbelievable things you will ever see, and it creates so many legal quirks. Imagine this. You are on the Canadian side of the street, where the legal drinking age is 18. You could be enjoying a beer on your front porch, legally, but your neighbor directly across the street, just a few feet away in the USA, has to wait until they're 21. It's the same street, the same view, but completely different laws. This applies to everything: speed limits, tax codes, even rules about what you can do with your own property. It's a constant legal tightrope walk for the people who live here. They have to be experts in the laws of two different countries just to go about their daily lives. This legal duality leads to some seriously strange situations. For example, there have been cases where police from one country are chasing a suspect, and the suspect just has to run across the street to be in a different jurisdiction. The police have to stop at the yellow line and call their counterparts in the other country to continue the pursuit. It's like a real-life game of cops and robbers with an invisible wall in the middle of the road. The residents have seen it all, and they have some of the wildest stories you've ever heard about navigating this legal no-man's land. But it's not all about crime and drinking ages. It affects everyday things too. If a fire breaks out in a house on the American side, which fire department responds? In many cases, it's the one that's closer, regardless of the country. These communities have had to create unique agreements to provide essential services. They've learned that cooperation is the only way to make life work on the line. It's a powerful lesson in how people can overcome the divisions created by politics and work together for the common good. It's incredibly inspiring. We all know the daily routine of going to school can be a drag, but what if your school run involved crossing an international border every single day? For some kids living in these bizarre border towns, that's their reality. In the Bele Hertog / Bale Nassau area, The school system is a perfect example of this organized chaos. Depending on which side of the line your house is on, your kids might go to a Belgian school or a Dutch school. They could be learning a different curriculum and even a different language from their friends who live just a few houses down the street. This creates a unique cultural dynamic. Kids grow up being fluent in multiple languages and being intimately familiar with two different cultures. They have friends on both sides of the border and celebrate holidays from both countries. In many ways, they are true global citizens from a very young age. They don't see the border as a barrier, they see it as a normal part of their neighborhood. They learn to navigate the complexities of their world with an ease that is just mind-blowing to an outsider. It's a powerful and positive outcome of a weird geographical situation. But it also comes with its own set of challenges. Imagine trying to organize a play date. You have to figure out if your friend lives in the same country or if you need to bring a passport just to go to their house to play video games. School bus routes are also incredibly complex, weaving in and out of two different nations to pick up students. The administrative side of running these schools is a Herculean task requiring constant coordination between the education ministries of two separate countries. It's a level of bureaucracy that would make most people's heads spin. Despite the challenges, the system works because the community is committed to making it work. Parents from both sides volunteer at the schools, and there are joint cultural events and sports tournaments that bring all the students together. They've built a shared identity that transcends nationality. They're not just Belgian or Dutch, they're from Belda. It's a testament to the human ability to build community and find common ground, even when a line on a map tells them they are supposed to be different. This is what it's all about. Here's a modern problem that you probably never even thought about. What happens when your house is on an international border and you try to use your cell phone? You could be sitting on your couch and your phone could be constantly switching between cell towers in two different countries. 1 minute you're on your domestic network and the next you're racking up insane international roaming charges without even moving. This is a real and very expensive problem for people living on the line. It's a 21st century quirk of these bizarre border towns. We talk to residents who have to be incredibly careful about where they stand in their own homes when they make a phone call. They know the exact spots in their living room that connect to the cheaper domestic network. Some people have even resorted to buying two separate phones with two different SIM cards, one for each country, just to avoid the roaming fees. Imagine having to carry two phones just to live in your own house. It's an absurd solution to an absurd problem. And it highlights how modern technology can clash with old world borders. This issue extends beyond just phone calls. It affects internet service too. You might have to choose between an internet provider from one country or the other, and your choice could be dictated by which side of the house your router is on. Your neighbor across the street might have blazing fast fiber optic internet from a company in their country, while you're stuck with the slowest service from a different nation's provider. It's a digital divide created by a physical line. It's another layer of complexity that these residents have to deal with every single day. But as always, people find creative ways to adapt. Some communities have lobbied cell phone companies to create special border zone plans that eliminate roaming charges within a certain area. Others share Wi-Fi passwords with their neighbors across the border, creating a grassroots network that hops between countries. It's another example of community ingenuity and cooperation in the face of a strange challenge. They're not just accepting the problem, they're finding innovative solutions together. It's this spirit of problem solving that makes these places so special. When you hear about towns with porous borders, your mind might immediately jump to smuggling. It seems like it'd be incredibly easy to just walk across the street with illegal goods, right? Well, it's not that simple. While the borders may look open, they are often under intense, albeit subtle, surveillance. The residents of these towns live in a strange state of trust and scrutiny. They know each other, but they also know that customs officials from both countries are always watching. It's a high-stakes environment hidden beneath a friendly, small-town exterior. The locals have countless stories about failed smuggling attempts that are just hilarious. They talk about people trying to tape packs of cigarettes to their bodies only to have them fall off in the middle of the street right in front of a customs officer. Or someone trying to smuggle cheaper butter by hiding it in a baby stroller. The customs agents have seen it all, and they have an almost sixth sense for spotting suspicious activity. For the most part, the residents know that it's not worth the risk. The penalties are severe, and you risk ruining the trust that exists in the community. This unique situation has fostered a deep-seated culture of honesty among the long-term residents. They act as the unofficial guardians of the border. They take pride in the peaceful and lawful nature of their unique home. If they see something suspicious, they are more likely to report it themselves. They understand that the special freedoms they enjoy, like being able to cross the street to visit a friend, depend on maintaining a secure and legal environment. It's a social contract that is taken very seriously. So while it might look like a smuggler's dream on the surface, the reality is far more complex. The combination of official surveillance and a strong self-political community makes these towns surprisingly secure. It's a fascinating paradox. The more open the border appears, the more eyes are on it. It's a lesson in how security can be achieved not just through walls and guards, but through community, trust, and mutual respect. It's an inspiring model that the rest of the world could probably learn from. Okay, so we've seen borders in houses and bathrooms, but now we're taking it to the next level. We found a cafe where the international border runs directly through the dining area. I'm talking about a place where you can literally sit at a table with your friends and half of you are in one country while the other half are in another. This is the kind of mind-blowing reality we travel the world to find. In the town of Baul, we've seen houses and cafes, but what about an entire town split down the middle? This is Baule, a patchwork of tiny enclaves between Belgium and the Netherlands. The border zigzags across streets. Some houses are in two countries, they have two of everything. In Derby Line, Vermont, playgrounds straddle the US-Canada border. Kids play together, not seeing political divisions. At the triple frontier, Argentina, Brazil and Paraguay meet. Ferries crisscross the rivers. Iguazu Falls straddles Brazil and Argentina. The Korean DMZ is a heavily fortified buffer zone. Ironically, it's become a nature reserve. Borders can be bridges or painful rifts. Okay, let's lighten the mood a bit with something absolutely ridiculous. Imagine you're playing a round of golf. You line up your shot, you swing, and you hit a perfect drive right into another country. Welcomes the Tornio Golf Club, also known as the Green Zone Golf Club, located on the border of Finland and Sweden. This 18-hole course is literally split in half by the border. 11 of the holes are in Finland and 7 are in Sweden. You can tee off in one country and putt in another on the very same hole. How insane is that? But it gets even crazier. Because Finland and Sweden are in different time zones, this golf course has a 1-hour time difference, running right through the middle of it. So you could hit a tee shot at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Finland and it could land in Sweden at 1:05. It's the longest tee shot in the world, time-wise. The club even hosts a tournament called the Midnight Sun Golf Tournament, where you can play 24 hours a day during the summer. You can tee off in Sweden in the late evening and finish your round in Finland in the early morning of the same day. My brain hurts just thinking about it. Think of the logistical nightmare this could be. Do you need a passport to retrieve your ball from the rough? What if the rules of golf are slightly different in each country? Luckily, the Schengen Agreement makes crossing the border seamless, so you don't have to worry about border patrol tackling you on the 7th green. The club has fully embraced its unique identity. They have 2 flags on their flagpoles and celebrate their cross-border status as a major selling point. It's a brilliant example of turning a geographical oddity into a one-of-a-kind experience. This place perfectly captures the spirit of these bizarre border towns. It's about taking a potentially complicated situation and just having fun with it. Instead of building a fence, they built a fairway. It's a testament to the friendship between these two nations and the shared sense of humor. They've created a place where you can literally walk between countries, between time zones, all while chasing a little white ball. It's weird, it's wonderful, and it's 100% real. This is the kind of stuff you just can't make up. And that's why we love exploring these incredible places. This next story sounds like something out of a cartoon, but I promise you it's real. Let's talk about the time a cat was arrested for smuggling contraband across a prison border. Yes, a cat. In 2013, guards at a prison in Arapiraca, Brazil, noticed a white cat frequently entering and leaving the facility. This wasn't just any friendly stray, though. One day, they apprehended the feline felon and discovered it was decked out with a tiny, custom-made harness. Taped to its body were saw blades, drill bits, a mobile phone, a charger, and batteries. This cat was a tiny, furry mule for a prison escape plan. The inmates had apparently raised the cat inside the prison, gained its trust, and then would let it out to meet their accomplices on the outside. The accomplices would strap the goods onto the cat, and it would then obediently return to the prison, delivering the tools right to the inmates. It's a level of criminal genius that is both terrifying and, let's be honest, kind of hilarious. The prison officials were stunned. They had plans for human smugglers, for drones, for hidden packages, but they never expected a cat to be their adversary. It's the ultimate Trojan horse, except it's a cat. So what happens when you catch a cat breaking the law? You can't exactly read it its rights. The authorities were in a bizarre predicament. The cat couldn't be charged with a crime, obviously, so was taken to a local animal shelter to be cared for and put up for adoption. All 263 inmates in the prison were considered suspects in the case, but it was impossible to determine who the masterminds were. The cat, being a cat, wasn't talking. It kept its secrets and silently moved on to its new life, leaving a trail of baffled prison guards in its wake. This story is just a perfect example of the weird and unpredictable things that happen at borders, in this case the border of a prison wall. People will always find creative and sometimes downright absurd ways to get things from one side to another. It shows the incredible lengths people will go to and the surprising tools or animals they'll use to do it. It's a funny, weird, and 100% real story that proves that sometimes the most unbelievable tales are the ones that actually happened. And somewhere out there, there's a cat with a very interesting past. Borders can separate people, but sometimes they can also bring them together in the most beautiful and bizarre ways. During the COVID-19 pandemic, borders all over the world slammed shut, including the one between the United States and Canada. For couples in long-distance relationships, this was devastating. But love, as they say, finds a way. One couple, Karen Mahoney and Brian Ray, decided they weren't going to let an international border stop them from getting married. So they found a spot where they could meet without technically crossing into each other's country. They chose a location on the border between Burke, New York and Quebec, Canada. The border here is just a small ditch, a strip of cleared land in the woods. So with friends and family watching from their respective sides, they held their wedding ceremony right on the international line. Karen stood in Canada, Brian stood in the United States, and they held hands across the border as they said their vows. A wedding officiant standing on the American side legally married them. It was an emotional and powerful moment, a symbol of love triumphing over division. The logistics were incredible. They had to coordinate with Border Patrol agents from both countries, who were actually super supportive and helped make sure the event could happen safely and legally. The agents even acted as unofficial witnesses, watching over the ceremony from a respectful distance. It's a story that shows the human side of border enforcement. These officers, whose job it is to enforce separation, understood the importance of this moment and helped facilitate a connection instead. It's a truly inspiring display of compassion and understanding. This story went viral because it resonated with so many people. It was a beacon of hope and love during a really difficult and isolating time. It showed that even when faced with physical barriers and global crises, human connection will always find a way to flourish. It's a funny and weird situation, getting married in a ditch on a border. but it's also incredibly profound. It's a 100% real story that reminds us that borders can't stop love, and that sometimes the most memorable moments happen in the most unlikely of places. Imagine waking up one day and being told that you and your entire town are now living in the wrong country. That's exactly what happened to the residents of several small villages along the border between India and Bangladesh. For decades, due to a complex and messy historical agreement from centuries ago, there were over 100 Indian enclaves inside Bangladesh and about 50 Bangladeshi enclaves inside India. These were little pockets of one country, completely surrounded by the other. It was a logistical and humanitarian nightmare for the people living there. For generations, these people were effectively stateless. They couldn't easily access schools, hospitals, or government services from their home country because they were cut off by foreign territory. They were living in a state of limbo, belonging to one nation on paper but physically located in another. It was a bizarre and tragic consequence of lines drawn on a map without any thought for the people living on the land. They were trapped, isolated, and largely forgotten by the outside world. This was a border problem on a massive, life-altering scale. But then, in 2015, something incredible happened. After decades of negotiations, India and Bangladesh finally signed a historic land boundary agreement. In one single night, at the stroke of midnight, they officially swapped all of these enclaves. The Indian enclaves in Bangladesh became part of Bangladesh, and the Bangladeshi enclaves in India became part of India. The residents were given a choice. They could either move to the original country or stay where they were and adopt a new nationality. It was a monumental decision that would change their lives forever. Overnight, thousands of people became citizens of a new country without ever moving. They celebrated in the streets, lighting candles and setting off fireworks. For the first time in their lives, they had a clear identity and access to the rights and services they had been denied for so long. It was a moment of incredible joy and relief. This story is a powerful reminder of how profoundly borders can impact human lives. It's a weird and complex tale with a truly happy and inspiring ending, proving that even the most tangled historical messes can be resolved with cooperation and a focus on humanity. So we've traveled the globe, from houses split in two to towns that exist in